And let's just, how come it didn't complain just now saying, yes, you should be recording? I guess it's doing it. Welcome, everybody. Let's just take a quick tour around the room and introduce ourselves. And that way people will know who the others are, and then we can get going on our agenda. So happy to have you all here today. My name is Randy Fay. I'm the lead maintainer of the DDEV project. And today I am in Dusseldorf in Germany for a Typo 3 camp that we're going to have a fun time at. And normally I'm in Western Colorado in the US. Jen, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Jen Lampton. I'm located in Oakland, California. I'm primarily known through the Drupal community. I've been doing Drupal for about 20 years. I also mostly spend my time on Backdrop these days, and I've been doing Backdrop for about 13 years, I guess. So
She happens to be one of the founders of Backdrop, as a matter of fact. Mark, go ahead.
Hey, everybody. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm a developer from Vancouver, BC. We've been working for probably 10, 15 years on various platforms, mostly Drupal in the last little while. Yeah, very interested in automation and DevOps stuff, personally. That's it for me.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Mike, go ahead. Mike Anello.
Hi, Mike Anello, mainly from the Drupal community. Yeah, been involved with DDEV since the I don't know, early days, but at least the beta days.
You have been there. He wrote a book about it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, a very out-of-date book. Don't even right back there.
You know, one of the really interesting things when you go back and look at my really old blog posts or your really old book, a lot of the things still work fine. Like if you did what was in there, they would work, which is pretty surprising because those are really old.
A lot of things are easier now than they were when I wrote it as well. So.
Yeah. It's Akiba.
Well, obviously my online alias, otherwise Stefan, Steve, whatever. I listen to different names. I'm not that picky. Been doing Typo 3 mainly for, I don't know, 17 years, 16 years, something around that point. Otherwise, also plenty of other languages like Golang, a bit of Java, whatever.
It doesn't matter. He'll learn it today. If you
that
need
doesn't
him to
matter.
learn it,
Yeah.
he'll learn it.
Business-wise, mainly Typo 3, privately, mainly Laravel. Those are the main things I'm using.
Well, and the most important thing that everybody here is so pleased with is your PHP Storm extension.
True. Giving a little bit of more life to that one.
Yeah. So here we have right in front of us the maintainer of the PHP Storm extension, which is so valuable to this community. Thank you so much for making that stable.
Especially making sure that it works with the current versions, because I usually already install the early access version as soon as it drops myself, and I've always sorely missed that the plugin wasn't working for such a long time every time.
Yeah, that really is great. And you had to be pretty patient to end up making that happen. So that really is great. Andrew.
Yes, hello. My name's Andrew Berry. I live in Guelph, Ontario. I'm the VP of Technology at Lullabot. I come from the Drupal side of things, and I'll leave one little note that we just had our first ever local Drupal camp here last week, and all of the presenter demos, every single one who was doing a live demo, they were all doing it using DDEV on their locals. So that was pretty cool to see. Ta-da.
That is great. Yeah, good deal. Is it Sherry? I don't think I've met you.
No, I don't believe you have. I'm kind of a newbie for all your experience. I've only been using Drupal for about 5 years, and when I started with DDEV. Workload has been unexpectedly light the last week and a half or so, and I saw this in the newsletter. I thought, I'm just going to pop in and see what goes on there.
We are so glad to have you. Where are you in the world?
I am in central Illinois, about halfway between Chicago and St. Louis.
Okay, excellent. Well, thanks for coming. Benny, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Benny. I'm from Germany. I work with Typo3 and DDEV since the beginning, with both systems, almost with both systems. And I'm running a company called B13, longtime supporter of DDEV. And I'm also the lead developer for Typo3.
Yes, he's a very, very big shot in Typo3. So, Matthew?
Hey, my name's Matthew Saunders. I live just south of Denver in a city called Littleton. I've been doing Drupal stuff for nearly 20 years as well. I'm currently the AI ambassador for Amazy.io, who just announced the remerger of Amazy Labs back into Amazy, so it's a single company again. Which is very exciting. I think it's going to make things a whole lot more efficient for the clients that sort of cross over both boundaries. Maybe my claim to fame is that I've been involved with the longest running Drupal camp in the world. Started way back in 2007. It's the longest running Drupal camp Colorado. In the world. So, yep, that's me.
Glad to have you here. Hey, Paul?
So I'm Paul Gills. I'm a developer advocate with Upsun, and as Randy mentioned, do a lot of work with Randy on that add-on. And I am also in the States, a little bit farther west than Sherry. I'm halfway between St. Louis and Kansas City in Missouri.
Very cool. Stas?
Hi everyone, I'm Stas Zhuk, a maintainer of DDEV. I live in Kremenchuk, Ukraine, and have been working on DDEV for almost 2 years or 3. I can't remember how much, but I've been using DDEV maybe for 5 years already.
Very much appreciated. Let's see if I can do the right thing here. Here is the agenda for today. Did I miss anybody? Or did I get everybody? It's always hard with Zoom the way it pops people around.
I think you got everybody.
Okay, cool. Thanks for paying attention. Okay, let me see if I can get this done correctly. And DDEV, the backdrop live is tomorrow, huh, Jen?
Yeah.
Very cool. So we're going to go through the agenda, but of course anybody is welcome to add to the agenda or whatever. This is a banner day that we've been talking about for so many years, but we have a bunch of things on our agenda today to talk about. I did remember to turn on the note taker. I think it's working, and the recording. And our big event is that this is the meeting where we are going to have a board for the DDEV Foundation. So the DDEV Foundation is a US 501c3 nonprofit organization, and it has had me as the board member for some time, and that has been it. And we've been working toward we have many times talked about how do we get to a slightly more formal level of governance, and we have now we're taking a step today. We'll take another final look through the articles of incorporation, otherwise known as our charter in general, which is we talked with Jen and Nate a bit about their experience with Backdrop, which is a little larger project, but a similar, at least a related size, and their years of experience in nurturing it into maturity. And we thought that was a good model, and we ended up with essentially that situation. So today is our big thing. I actually we already went through introductions of everybody, but the nominated board members, which essentially means the board members, are Jen from the Backdrop world, Benny from the Typo 3 world, Andrew and Mike from the Drupal world, and me from DDEV. 5 of us. The articles of incorporation that we'll look at today, or we probably won't look too closely. We've been looking at them for a few months. They name those people, and it says that we'll start with 5 and always have an odd number so that we don't get tied up. And of course, one of the things that we really don't want to do is have drama. And so hopefully we can find our path toward a stable organization that has clear governance. Maybe the 4 of you would like to say just a little something about what you think about this.
I can go first. I'm very excited about this. Obviously, we had to go through the same decision at the beginning of Backdrop, and Randy, I was really impressed by your questions on, like, if you had to do anything different, how would you do it? And it really made us look at how we're doing things today, and also like open some issues and start talking about some stuff internally. So looking forward to seeing how this works out too.
Very cool. We look forward to continuing to learn from your experience. We just, yeah, we have growing and learning to do. So
Yeah, I'll say from our side, like we've definitely depend on DDEV from a development standpoint. It would, if it were to break tomorrow and stop working, it would be a lot for our teams to switch to something else. And I think from, out of all the open source projects we use, there's a lot of them that our team, we have expertise in-house who could just start working on them. It wouldn't be a big deal, especially on the PHP side of things. But when you're talking about Golang and all the deep internals of Docker that you have to deal with and running it on, it's outside of the typical PHP developer's stack. And so I think having a board and a way for DDEV to be a foundation with management beyond just Randy is something that we see as really being valuable. Not to say that Randy hasn't you've done a great job to date. But I think having that additional stability to support you in the work you're doing, at least in the short term, is something that we see a lot of value in. So definitely glad to participate in this way.
excellent. We sure appreciate it.
Yeah, I was going to touch on the same point that Andrew just touched on. That this is like a necessary step, in my opinion. Probably should have happened a long time ago to lessen DDEV's dependence on Randy. And I can only imagine Randy being in your shoes with the weight of like the DDEV world on you. So I'm glad that we can finally get to this point where it's kind of lessening the load and the responsibility on you and formalizing it and in a structure that is kind of proven to work. And the fact that we have Jen on our team who has all the institutional knowledge of that structure is we're super lucky in that respect. So this is, like I said, I'm really happy that this is finally happening. Kind of a new chapter for DDEV moving forward, I think.
That is great. And thank you so much. So Mike also has taken
I just realized my mic is way over here. Sorry.
I was wondering about that.
I forgot to bring it close.
Mike has also taken on the role of treasurer so that he is writing the at least the contractor checks to Stas and me, and controlling that. And in the future, he'll control the finances at a higher level. And he's actually been on the bank account for maybe 2 years now or
A
something.
while. A while.
Since I went to Chile, right? So
Yeah.
I think that's 2 years. So that, these are just incremental things. Mike being on the bank account, having a treasurer that's not me, now having a board, updating our articles of incorporation. They're incremental, but hopefully they will take us to a place where we have a longer term view and a clearer view of governance. Go ahead, Benny.
Yes, so I'll bring the foreign experience with me. Mainly, I'm involved in a lot of governance structures in Typo 3, even though I don't have a role there. But I'm kind of like an advisor there, and we have I don't know, more than 1,000 members, and I'm glad I don't take such a role there. And I see certain decisions that have been made in the past or still are made that I feel like sometimes it feels like the right decision, but it's actually slowing down the project itself, or vice versa. And I try to give my input in that direction to give this outside perspective or a different perspective than the common Drupal perspective, which is fine. I like to hear more about this, and yeah, learn and learn from each other, basically.
Well, thank you for coming on. And of course, we know that there are many other people who will in the future be engaged in DDEV's governance and who would have been great board members for today. But we're glad to have these 5 people signed up to do this amount of work. I don't think it's going to be a lot of work. It's not my anticipation that we're going to have more than the average kind of every 2 months meeting. Our next meeting is in January, and instead of the first week of January, it's the second week of January. And instead of 1 hour, it's 2 hours. We usually do that every January, where we have an actual formal review of the previous year and a bit of a formal planning session for the coming year. So that's just kind of a January tradition. And we're doing it the second week because most people don't have any brain space on the first week of January. They are usually coming back and overwhelmed, and et cetera, et cetera.
I'm
So
gonna apologize in
slightly-
advance for not being able to make that meeting.
Shucks.
'Cause
Okay.
I'm on my annual January hiking trip that week, so sorry.
Where are you going this time?
The Grand Canyon, back to the bottom of the Grand Canyon again, where there's no internet service, the way I like it.
Are you staying at the thing down below? You
Yeah,
are.
Phantom Ranch. Yep.
You are.
Yeah,
And
we
how
do it
long-
almost every January. Yeah.
How long ago did you have to make that reservation?
We do it. It is it's a 14-month thing. So I think this month we will be putting in our lottery entry for 2027. Yeah, it's a
You just
14.
got it?
Yeah, it's a
Just
14-month
right.
lottery in advance. You have to put in for that.
I have had that in my calendar for some time, but I
Yeah.
seem to have gotten screwed up on when I had it for. So my son and I are hoping to do that someday. So I look forward to talking to you.
Yeah,
about that.
we normally get a 10-person cabin. We always invite different people and stuff. So I will
You
keep
get
you
a
in
whole
mind
cabin.
for next time. Yeah,
Ah.
they have 2 10-person cabins down there. They haven't had both open at the same time in a long time, but we've been lucky enough to get it for a few years. And January is the perfect time to go. You just gotta, as long as you're comfortable getting past the ice and snow at the top.
Okay.
Once you get down
All
there,
right.
it's perfect. So sorry I won't be at the meeting.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay, well, welcome and thank you to all of you who are here and those of you who have signed up for the board. I imagine that responsibilities will increase over time, but all that we have right now is meetings where we may make group decisions. I'm thinking that we just stay with the current format, invite everybody. If we have something that if we have something that requires a vote, then we'll make a vote and only the board members would vote. But everybody can participate as always. Seems to me like that's okay for now. I see heads nodding.
Yep.
Our proposed articles of incorporation, we've been talking about for a few meetings. This is the update here. It is, I think probably all of you have taken a quick look at that. It's not very significant. It's not very different from what we've had over the last few years. It's not very different from what the Colorado Secretary of State already has. And the kitty cat is here for love. My kitty cats are missing me. But the key thing that is in here, and we've talked about this at a couple of the previous meetings, is that this now has the list of board members that we're starting with. And it says that those board members can make changes as things go on. And it gives me veto power for 2 years from the date of adoption. And that was because I have seen nonprofits get strange before. I wanted to just have a period where I didn't have to think about that. And I don't even anticipate that I would ever have a reason to use a veto power. But in my experience in the past, I just wanted to do that. And that makes me feel really comfortable that we can make it through a transition from just me to a board that has full power. And that it's an odd thing to put in there, but that's what's in there, and that's the proposal. Paul's got a good way to think about it. Experience and knowing where the bodies are buried. Or where the bodies can come from. Organizations can be weird, and organizations that are trying to develop governance can be weird. I think, Jen, you said that you had a little bit of weirdness in some of the early days.
Yeah, I mean, we were just learning as we were doing it, and there was definitely some issues that we hadn't imagined would happen that came up. So, yeah, having flexibility and the authority to fix problems is a good idea.
Yeah, my bad experience was a hand-chosen board member who was a good friend of mine and was why he was chosen, who went rogue and became mean and awful and took over the slack and was, it's like, how do these things happen? How do they happen? What do they do? What are we doing here? Why would people do that?
You never know the backstory though, Randy, right? I mean, some terrible things happening in their family and then they start freaking out and, mental health, right?
That is probably true. So,
I mean, I've told you my mom freaked out and suddenly acted completely like a different person for a year. So, yeah. She came back afterwards, but took a year.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Did you all get a chance to look at the draft articles of incorporation? Have anything to say about them? I haven't seen any new comments in there in the last week or so.
It all seemed fairly straightforward to me, but admittedly, I have no experience to be able to compare this to other organizations or nonprofits or what's normal.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's actually intended it's intended to satisfy the IRS. This well, the previous version, the one that's registered with Colorado, was there to satisfy the IRS for 501c3. And so there's these very specific things that you have to say to get the 501c3. And that's that's mostly what's there. And then we're adding on the governance strategy with the 5 board members that we are adding. And of course, it doesn't say in here that these board members have to behave exactly in some particular way. And so over the coming years, the board is going to have to find its way to what the correct, what the most appropriate strategies are. As Jen said, Backdrop had to find their way and make their own way. So, I anticipate that the board will end up having to approve some kinds of expenditures, and the board will make Mike be in charge of some of those, and that somebody besides me will be reviewing the financial statements. Yeah, Matthew, go ahead.
Yeah, I would suggest keeping your articles of incorporation as simple as possible. And when you're thinking about how you want to do business, draft them as policies and procedures that are reviewed by the board every couple of years or so, and keep good track at the bottom of the policies and procedures as to when they were written, when they were approved by the board, and when they've been amended. That means that it keeps this document super clean, and it makes it much easier to make changes as you need to make changes. If you have interest, our policy and procedures documents for Drupal Colorado are public, if there's anything useful in there, you should feel free to shamelessly rip us off.
Have you had any trouble with the Drupal Colorado organization?
The only troubles that we've ever had have been board members who have chosen to leave for one reason or another, and those reasons have always been personal. For example, leaving the state for different reasons, in terms of work. We have 2 board members that aren't in the state of Colorado at this point. We had to make special arrangements for them because our policies and procedures indicate that board members must be residents of Colorado. But there have been a few instances where people have just chosen to leave for personal reasons. No issues on either side. They've always been available if there were any bones that needed to be undug or whatnot. But for the most part, it's been really chill, and I think it's because we're a bunch of nerds that just want to put on a camp and summits and have meetups, and by and large, we've been good friends, and we've known each other for a good long time. So I think that the stakes are relatively low when you're talking about a small nonprofit. Now, when I was on the board of Crown Point Academy, we actually had some serious issues that came into play, and we had to expel board members who came on the board with the express agenda, which we didn't know at the time, of taking over the board and taking over the school. That was tough, and it took 3 or 4 months to actually right the ship at that point.
Wow.
But I can't imagine that any people on this board are out to take DDEV over and do anything evil.
Watch out for Mike.
In the case of Crown Point, part of it was that that the school has, you know, a $15 million budget, and there were evil things that some people wanted to do around you know, self-enriching themselves. If you're looking to self-enrich yourself off of DDEV, I think it's probably going to be a challenging exercise.
You could see some weird things happen, which I don't think will happen, but we have all seen open source FOSS organizations taken over by some situations, and you could see somebody trying to take it over and make it a commercial organization or something, but we won't go there. Mike is going to have to leave. If nobody has any objections, is it good to file this with the state of Colorado?
I made a couple of little corrections. Unless your legal name is Rand rather than
It is.
Randy.
In fact, it is.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay. Well, and I'll cancel those corrections.
That from time to time, I get in trouble for using Randy in a place where it matters. And so the last time I flew to Europe, they didn't give me my TSA pre because it said Randy on the ticket. So,
oh, for goodness sake.
yeah. So, yeah, whatever. So sometimes I try to be careful with saying Rand on occasion.
Got it.
So I'll file it then. And we then have a board, and we will expect the board minus Mike to be there in January, if possible, and everybody else too, because it's a community thing. We're just finding our way toward appropriate ways to make decisions a little better.
Don't we have to have an official vote where you, Randy, are the only voter and you?
I vote yes.
Okay, there we go. That's the official vote right there.
You vote yes officially.
Trying to make it official. I don't want, any loopholes later on.
There you go. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, everybody, and congratulations. This is something that we've been ho-humming about for so long, and so that's it's great that we found a way to just take the next step. And I don't expect it to be that big a deal, but it's great. Thank you all, and thank you all who've been thinking of and talking about this for so many meetings. So it's great.
Randy, I assume you're gonna do a blog post about this, right?
Hey, that's a good idea.
All right. Can you share that? Before you publish, can you do it in Google Docs or something and
Sure.
share with everyone?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good deal.
I do have to drop, so
Yeah.
good to see
You have a
everyone.
great one.
And
Thanks a bunch.
All right.
So next item on the agenda is that Stas released 124.9 and 10. And they have some really cool things in them. So you'll want to take a look at some of those are long-standing things that people have been asking for. Easy working with removing the name from the config.yaml. What all's in there, Stas? What do you got?
Yeah, we actually have many different new features in this new release. I'll open it myself to see what we have.
It's
Yeah,
so yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's of course the highlight is PHP 8.5 and Postgres 18. And as you said, we have an option to omit the project name, and we may consider to make it the default in some future release. We have to check what the community says about it. And also another very useful feature that we have is connection between different DDEV projects. Like before, you had to specify the project name in external links in Docker files, and now everything works just out of the box. So it's a really cool feature, and it also one step forward to Podman support, because we have a long-standing issue to support Podman and also Docker rootless. But I'm working on this right now, and I spent some time on it, and I can say that probably in the next major release, we are going to have this support for Podman. And
You've been working and working and working.
yeah. And about new features that we have right now, another thing is that you already mentioned at the start of the meeting, that we have extended support for Apsan and platform configs. So you don't need to specify the environments, platform underscore project and platform underscore environment. And probably my favorite is, as I'm a Dawn maintainer myself, and have a lot of work to do after this new release is out, is to update some of our add-ons, because we now have a new x-DDEV extension field in Docker Compose. I'm going to update our maintenance guide to explain how it's going to work. But basically, right now, you already can add to add-on some new fields, and they're going to improve DDEV describe. Like if you have something to add about some credentials or maybe some additional information about the add-on, and if you like this, you usually put in the README of the add-on itself. But right now, you already can add it to the DDEV describe. And also, we use DDEV SSH to go inside the container. And as you know, usually you land in Bash for our standard containers like web and DB, and into SH for any different kind of containers. And add-on maintainers can now choose where to land, like specify the shell for this, also in the same x-DDEV extension. And also another cool new thing is that we have user flag for DDEV exec and DDEV SSH. So if you don't have sudo inside the container, you can just change the user on the fly, like and run any command you want from any user. This is probably the most significant features that we have in this release.
There's a lot of cool stuff in there, and the addition to describe has been requested for a really long time, and it's nice to see that land. Thanks, Stas. I wanted to have all of you look at the proposed deprecations and changes for 1.25.0, which is coming up soon. So I posted the working issue for that. I don't think there's anything that anybody will be very excited about, but the XHProp mode will change to XHGUI. That's kind of a given. I think people would just want to use the XHGUI mode. We have DDEV service command should probably be removed. The DDEV, now it's called utilities capabilities, is obsolete. It's been obsolete for a long time. Anyway, please take a look at those. And if any of them give you any heartburn, then mention them. I think that a lot of these are just things that are the passing of time. We need to change the default MariaDB version for newer projects. It doesn't affect anything, doesn't affect support. It only affects the default for new projects. And replacing NVM is probably the most the thing that might affect people. NVM has never been perfect in how it worked. And Andrew, I guess some of your projects were using it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when you have multiple environments that are not always DDEV, it's really handy to have a single source of truth for what version you should run on things. But yeah, it's not like super critical to how it's set up, but I like the way that it's you pointed out for how it works, so that's much better.
Yeah. NVM itself is this silly bash script that outgrew itself, and it's just not as good as so many things. And I think since we have Node.js version and Node.js version can respect the NVMRC, I think a lot of people have contributed to making that happen over time. And having DDEV NVM itself, not so much. So I guess we should keep the DDEV NVM as a hidden command that gives people a hint in the docs of what to do. But we have had endless problems with NVM over the history of the project, and it's just not a great thing to have. Probably will remove NFS support. That doesn't give anybody any trouble, right? Nobody's using NFS anymore. And anyway, do look at those and comment if you have any heartburn or any concerns, or if you think that those would impact people in a way that we should be considering more than we are currently thinking about. I hate to take things out, but on the other hand, the more code you have to maintain over time is kind of a problem. So what do we have next? Oh, the DDEV trademark. The folks at Upsun have been working on transferring the DDEV trademark for like all year, and there have been lawyers, and the lawyers have been corresponding. I don't know I didn't really understand what was going on, but apparently the deed is done. The deed is almost done, and I have signed a contract, and Fred from Upsun is going to sign that contract, and then we are going to own the DDEV trademarks. And that's a good thing. So we don't have to think about that in the future. That's a good thing.
Was there any cost involved with it?
Not well. There is 100 euros we're going to pay for it. There needed to be a token amount to pay. They've certainly spent more than that on lawyers, and they spent way more than that purchasing that IP. But that was it's a great thing that they have been willing to do that and work through that with us. And of course, the DDEV Foundation is really who should own the DDEV trademark.
How is it that they didn't?
Yeah. So when Drud went away, they sold their IP to some weird agency in Denver who thought they were going to turn it into another hosting product, but they didn't have the capability of doing that either. And then they sold it to Platform somehow. And so Platform ended up with, I don't know whether Platform thought that they were getting some IP out of it. And then I think Platform wanted to, I don't know why, part of it was Platform hiring me. But I made it clear that DDEV was an independent project and it was going to be an open source ongoing project. And so that was all good. And then when Upsun decided to change its level of sponsorship this year, that was part of the agreement that we came to, was that the trademark should land where it belongs. It's not a very complete answer, but there was that weird dude at that agency that wanted to turn DDEV into a crypto play.
I remember actually that whole story. Now that you've run through it, it was all very strange.
We could have been a crypto play by now and had EFTs or ETFs or whatever they are. And yeah, I'm glad that we have a clear focus.
Doing that instead of selling sad monkeys.
Yeah, right.
You know, the unit of currency in South Africa is the rand. So we could have a coin, the rand coin, right? That'd be good.
Okay. Anyway, so that's a great thing.
Would it need to be the Rand E coin?
I know, that's what I was thinking, the same thing. The Rand E coin. Yeah,
yeah. I think we can let the Trump organization handle all that for us.
Oh, thank goodness someone's taking care of it. You know, someone responsible and thoughtful.
That's right. So at the next meeting, we will be talking about goals for 2026. And I would really love to hear where your pain points are, or your thoughts, or your creativity for everybody for the next year's planning. We aren't great planners. We're great responders to community needs, which is a pretty good thing. But it's always a thing trying to figure out what should be the priority for the next year. And it's good to think that way. And it's caused us to think carefully this year about what we worked on. But now we're here to next year. So now it's time to be thinking about that. And we'd appreciate any thoughts that you have. Open an issue, propose it for 2026, bring it up in Discord, anything you want to do. It's great.
Are you planning on actually having a planning meeting like that's more than an hour? Because I would suggest if you actually want to plan something out for the next year, you probably want to do so, even if it's in Zoom using Miro or whatever. You probably want to have some kind of offsite with your team that lasts enough time that you can do more than ideate, right?
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Thank you for that.
Yeah, what about Hawaii?
Normally it's just my problem to put together a plan. And so this will be the first careful engagement of other people, especially the board. So that's a very good idea to add that extra thing on there. Was that you talking, Sal?
Oh, sorry.
What was that?
I interrupted somebody. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was suggesting that that meeting should happen in Hawaii or somewhere on a nice beach with palm trees.
Yeah, that's good.
If depending on what you decide to do, Randy, if you are looking for an external moderator to help you with that, I'd be happy to do some moderation for you.
Thank you. Well, open it up to everybody and remember how to do that. It would be great to have you be an external moderator. That's a very good idea. Note taker, put that down in all caps. Like thing is if you have any, if you look at the 2025 goals that we're finishing up the year, if you have any concerns or thoughts about those are very welcome as well, because it's going to be time to do a 2025 review and see how we did in this year, both compared to our values and compared to our goals. We've done well. We've talked about the things of the financial summary. The sponsorships have, especially almost entirely individual sponsorships, have been going through the roof since we added the sponsorship status to DDEV Start once a day. So, and also we put it on all of our web properties, which was pretty cool. So now people are starting to understand what's really going on with this free project that they use every day. So it's very exciting. So we have a little over $6,000 in the bank, which is about it's a little less than what we usually start the month with, but it's in range, and we should be fine this month. Our normal things are working well, and we should be good. And the balance sheet and profit and loss are there as always, and we always welcome comments about them. The time will come when Michael will be the one doing those reports, and I imagine that he'll do them better or more thoughtfully, or at least more publicly, or something than I do. So that's the agenda. Any comments or thoughts? Feel free to, I guess we've accepted the Articles of Incorporation. I voted on that, so we'll file it with the state. I'll take a look. If you notice anything that's really wrong with it, do say so. We'll file that. It doesn't constrain us. The board can make future changes to policies. And as Matthew said, policies are separate from that, policies and procedures. So. I appreciate all of you so much, and thanks for your long-term support and for working on all this and for being here today. It would be very lonely here without you today. So
happy to join the fun.
Yeah. And of course, stop into Discord or any other place that we are anytime, and we're always happy to talk. And feel free to comment on the like the 1.25 issue for deprecations or anything else if you like. So thanks so much, everybody. I sure appreciate it.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
great
Thanks,
very much,
everyone.
Randy.
Thank you.
Randy.
Bye.
Bye.